Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and I'm really excited about this week's tip video. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in and joining me here in the STATUESQUE office to hear what I've got to say this week. Today we're going to be diving into common scams that target business owners. A lot of times we are going after any sale that comes our way. Like anytime you see an inquiry, you're like, yes, I want this. This is perfect, and it can be easy to ignore certain signs and to fall into scams because we're just trying to grow our business. Like our businesses are our babies. Like we'll do anything to grow our businesses. And because of that, it's really easy to fall into certain scams, right? So today I want to talk about a few common ones that I've come across over the past 9 years that I've been in business and things that I've learned about them and how you can easily identify them and avoid them in your own business. I have 3 options today, but I want to hop into one. The first one is the scam where someone just kind of sends you a text message and says, hey, do you offer blah, blah, blah service and do you accept credit cards? The reason that I wanted to bring that up is because no matter what you sell, it's very rare that a real client is going to ask you off the bat if you accept credit cards. They're gonna ask you other questions like, I have an event coming up, but it's only for 2 hours. Like, do you do events that are only 2 hours? Or, I need a mural for my house. I just wanted to know, like, do you ship to Florida? Like the kind of questions that people ask are questions that help them. Like they're more about like your service and things like that. If someone off the bat is sending you an email, especially if it's a very, very generic name like Jane Doe, I'm sure there are real Jane Does out there, but I'm just saying, like, if it's a name like that, and the email, maybe you look at the email, like what the email says, it doesn't really even match the name. And the person off the bat is asking you if you accept credit cards, this is more than likely going to lead down the path of a credit card scam, where this person's going to try to scam you out of money somehow through credit cards. The reason that they ask you off the bat is because they're emailing a million people and they really don't want to kind of quote unquote waste their time with those who don't even accept credit cards. Now this, by the way, is not a good reason to not accept credit cards in your business, because most people do want to pay with credit cards, especially in an industry like mine, wedding planning, where what people are buying is so expensive that they may not have the cash on hand immediately. You definitely want to accept credit cards, but you want to use a trusted provider for credit cards, and you also probably only want to accept credit cards from people that you've either spoken to over the phone or that you've met in person. Because again, those people who are trying to scam you out of your credit card money generally are not going to get on the phone with you. They're just going to send you an email. They're going to say, oh yeah, I'm ready to go. I love your work, and just move forward without even trying to talk to you. So you definitely want to incorporate that to avoid any kind of credit card scams. So that's number one. When someone sends you a text or an email and just off the bat just wants to know if you accept credit cards, that's a pretty telltale sign that this is probably leading down the lines of a scam. Now, number 2 is very similar. When someone reaches out and they're in a rush to get your service, they're like, hey, I'm getting married next month, right? Like I've had those, or I'm getting married in 2 weeks, or I'm getting married in 2 months, and I live outside the country or whatever, and I don't have a credit card. I'm gonna send you a check, but I just wanna know I'm ready to move forward right now. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with moving forward with the person, accepting a check. Again, it doesn't hurt to have a conversation with this person, either over the phone or even if they're in another country, over video chat, so you can see that they're a real person. If for some reason this doesn't work, a lot of times that can be a bit of a sign, but if you want to proceed, you can. But one thing to look out for if someone's sending you a check is to see if this is a personal check or a cashier's check. I would say for myself personally, I've gotten to a place where I don't accept cashier's check. I only accept personal checks, and this is why. Most of the times in this scam, people will send you a cashier's check for more than whatever your deposit is. I've actually experienced this in the past where someone sent me a deposit that was almost double what my deposit amount was. And I'm thinking to myself, this is interesting. And when I received, and the person sent it, and then maybe like a day later was like, hey, it's in the mail. By the way, I added an extra $1,500 to it because I need to pay a priest, and the priest only accepts money transfer. So when you accept the check, cash it, and after you cash the check, send the person money through Western Union, $1,500, right? This seems very, very, it seems very innocent, because you're sending me, let's say $3,000, but I only needed $1,500, and you're saying, oh, just wire transfer $1,500 to the priest. and this is the number, this is the information. It seems very innocent, except that cashier's checks can be canceled after they're cashed. So generally speaking, what these scam artists are trying to do is they send you a check, and usually once they ship the check, they're emailing you every couple hours. Did you receive the check? Did you receive the check? Did you cash it? Did you cash it? Because they need you to cash the check and to send the wire transfer to the other person before the 3-day or 5-day limit that is required for them to be able to cancel the check. Once I received the check, I did cash the check. But then I realized, okay, why does this person keep emailing me and keep being so aggressive? And I finally told the person, listen, I cannot send money to someone else. I didn't ask you for this extra money, but I can just apply it to your next deposit because you still owe me this money. So I can do that if you would like. And this person got very aggressive with me, and that's when I started realizing something's not right here. And I started researching and realized that this was a scam. Now, this happened to me like 4 or 5 years ago. And I just told the person flat out, I know this is a scam and I know you're gonna cancel the check, so go ahead and do it. And they did it, and I did lose like, I don't know, maybe $15 or something from a canceled check fee through my bank, but I didn't lose $1,500 that I sent to someone else, not meaning to do so. And again, cashier's checks are very difficult to track. I may not be able to ever find this person who sends me this money and to be able to like sue them or get my money back. And this is a lot of money to just lose out of nowhere, right? So the rule of thumb here is 2 things. Number 1, you probably don't want to accept cashier's checks unless, let's say, it's a trusted client that you already have or whatever, but you probably don't really want to accept cashier's checks, especially from people you've never met before. And number 2 is that you probably don't want to be like wiring money to people on people's behalf. You know, even though I'm a wedding planner, I generally don't do that. I don't let people send me money and then I send someone else money. The wedding planners who do that, it's not a bad thing, but generally it's like I am a service provider, so you pay me money and then I'm subcontracting the other vendors. That's a very different relationship than just wiring money, right? Because I'm subcontracting the other vendor, which means that they have contracts with me, like they're real people and I know them, versus someone just wiring money through me to other people. That exposes you to a lot. It exposes you could even be caught in the middle of a money laundering scheme when you do that, when you just wire money to people, even when you don't even know who they are. So that's a really big one, a big takeaway from that as well. Now, I really hope I'm not scaring you guys, but these are really things that I definitely wanted to share. The third and final scam that you definitely want to be cautious of as a business owner is when someone emails you and says they want to write a guest post on your blog. This is another one that I personally got hit with a couple years ago, where someone, you know, I was guest posting for a couple of bigger known, a more well-known company, and I, you know, wrote a couple let them guest post on my blog at the time. I don't do that anymore, but I think someone else noticed that I was doing that and said, hey, can I write a guest post on your blog? It's just something, I don't remember what it was about. It's about a product, but something cool that will help your clients. And I said, cool. And they sent me information, and they sent me text, and I copied and pasted it into my blog. And somehow this blog post exposed my website in a way for them to come in and take over. So next thing you know, I started having spam all over my blog posts. I started getting lots and lots of blog posts about things that had nothing to do with weddings. And I had never given these people my login. That was the crazy part about it. It wasn't even like someone asked to guest post and I gave them the login to my website and then I started seeing things. I had never shared the login with them. So somehow they exposed my website where they were able to get in and I guess find my login and start creating all these guest posts and creating extra pages and things that I never asked for, which then got my page very vulnerable. Google figured out that my page was vulnerable, and so when people would try to find my website legitimately and click on it, they got that page that no one ever wants to see that says, are you sure you want to proceed? Some clients who trusted me anyway were like, sure, but then some people started sending me the screenshots like, hey, is there something wrong with your website? And you know, it really doesn't look the best as a business owner to have that happening on your website. So eventually I had to pay for all this cleanup work to be done on my website to get all the malware off of, you know, my WordPress site, and deleted it, and deleting pages, because deleting pages alone didn't work, because every time I would delete a few pages, more would just show up. And I tried resetting my password, I believe. I tried a bunch of different things and those things didn't really work. So I basically had to install a bunch of cleanup software to get it all off my website. Worked really hard with WordPress to get it cleaned up. And it wasn't the greatest. This was horrible. And it wasn't even, the blog posts that the person wrote on my site weren't even worth it. The kind of content wasn't even that great. Like in retrospect, I just really regretted the whole thing. And so the the moral of the story in this is that you probably don't want to accept blog posts from people you don't know, for two reasons. Not only are you exposing yourself to this kind of thing, but number two, I learned over time that people really associate anything at all that they see on your website with the quality of your business. So if someone's writing a blog post about something that has nothing to do with your business, or about something that is just not a good blog post, they kind of associate that with you and say, okay, well, they write lots of rambly blog posts and they associate that with your business. So you probably want to make sure you know people before you let them guest blog on your website. And the second thing is that you definitely want to have, anti-malware installed on your server or on whatever it is that you use to manage your website, if you're using WordPress or something like that, because you want to make sure that that also helps to detect these things from happening, and then you get alerts, or it's basically just overall managing the health of your website. I didn't have that before because I didn't think I needed it. I was like, I'm a small business, who's gonna attack my website? But then I got attacked. So I definitely encourage you to have anti-spam things installed on your website ahead of time, and don't accept guest posts unless you know the person. Now, to recap, I talked today about credit card frauds. I talked today about the MoneyGram and transferring money frauds, MoneyGram and cashier's check and transferring money frauds. And the third one I talked about is allowing guest posts on your site. There are lots of takeaways from this, but the biggest one is this. You definitely want to, even though you're doing business and you want to get as much traffic on your website and all this stuff as much as possible, you also want to be diligent and just protect what you own, because you just want to protect everything you've built. You've put a lot of effort into your business. You've grown it. You're investing by watching videos like this, going to conferences, doing whatever else you're doing. You want to protect what you own, and just make sure that make sure you're dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and if anything feels weird, research it and see if you can find an answer before choosing to proceed in a situation that you're not comfortable with. So I really hope that today's video was helpful for you. I hope that it's something that really helps you to update your business processes and the way that you do business to keep yourself safe. And don't forget to subscribe before you go, because I've got even more content coming next week. All right, next week I'm going to be talking about how to pitch your service to someone else outside of your business. For instance, as a wedding planner, I may want to say, hey, I want to do a partnership with a venue, or I want to partner with someone else to get the word out there. There are lots of times that people do this in a very wrong way that pretty much guarantees not only that you don't get the partnership, but that the person doesn't even email you back. But there are a couple things that you can do to kind of increase the chances that you get a call back, and I'm going to be talking about that next week. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you come back next week Thursday to watch the video. And as always, I want to thank you for being part of my family. If you've made it this far in the video, you are part of my family, part of my YouTube family, and I love you very much. If you see me on the street, say hi, because you're part of my family. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm really excited to have you guys here, and I'm really excited to continue to share content. So please share this with others. Make sure you come back next week, and I'll see you again soon.